little scene reminds me of a job I did, I don't know, 6 years ago, I guess, now, down in Louisiana. And we had the opportunity to be inspecting electrical poles. It was our job, big transmission lines or small poles to poles, like you can pole to pole you can see right outside your door. They go everywhere. Everybody knows what they are. So you have to inspect those. They're made out of wood a lot of the time, and so they get old. You'd be surprised how old some of them really get. Anyway, guys, we were down there in Louisiana, and we came on these people's property, and come to find out they had about 5,000 acres down there, man. And they had a lot of family. They're on the huge areas. I mean, you guys, you could see what we saw. But anyway, some of the areas look like what you're seeing on the screen here, deep swamp looking shit, and kind of spooky. Anyway, though, we got to talking to this guy, and he rode out with his little UTV, and he had a shotgun. And he found out we were electrical workers, and he was cool, but he was about 75 years old, I guess. Anyway, got to talking to the guy, found out all the information I just conveyed to you guys. And then I started talking to him on a little bit more personal level whenever he asked me if we had any black folks on the crew. Crew usually has 5 guys. I was like, nah, we got a couple of Mexicans and me and my brother, And he's like, that's good, He didn't want any black folks on his land. And he pointed out a pond, and he said, hey, you see that pond over there? He goes, back in the 60s, my daddy, we saw I guess his father had spotted some black kids skinny dipping or whatever in that pond, and they were using that pond, okay? And it was a big pond, man. And he said, we usually kept it clear of any gators, and my daddy made me go get a couple of big they weren't big, I guess, 6-footers, big enough, and throw them in that pond. So, you know what I mean, man? I just wanted you guys to know, and I met a lot of people like that, man. Walking up a driveway one time, and we dug a couple of poles. This is in Oklahoma. Dug a couple of poles out going up these people's drive. It's a huge drive. When I say drive, I don't mean a couple hundred feet. I mean, it's a mile, So we're a couple, 3 poles in, and I look up to the pole, and me and this black guy, and walking next to each other. And he looks over, he says, you see that? And I look up on the pole, and it says, if you can read this, you're in range. And right about that time, I heard gun blasts in our direction, when you're being shot at. And I heard the buckshot go overhead, way overhead, but you can hear it whistle by. So anyway, this black dude, I said, hey, you need to get to go. I'll just keep going up the road. He didn't have to, he was gone. Picked up his gear and was out. All right? So no more gunshots. So I've still got 4, 5, 6 poles to go before I get to this guy's house. And I get up there, and finally, he's watched me dig out 6 poles and do all the work you got to do. It's insane, okay? He's seen this. He knows that we're workers. I'm a worker, man. And so anyway, he's like, hey, man, nothing, no disrespect on that. He goes, I saw the black boy with you, and he didn't call him that. Saw the black boy with you, and I want to make sure he didn't get up this way. Yes, sir, No disrespect, none taken, no dishonor, man. I understand. You know what I mean, man? It's like, I just want everybody to know that when you're watching, your media, any media now, it could be Instagram, YouTube, you name it, right? Any media, it's all cuckold whites. It's all cuckold whites. All you see is soy boys. You only see traitors to their race and people who are unaware of anything, or people who, okay? That's what you see. But the truth is I've been all across this country, and I've met a lot of white people on their term, on their land, in their spaces. you know, in their towns and in their house, you know, on their land, at their home. And I'm telling you right now, these people are not weak. They're not cowardly. They're waiting. So they don't care if you burn those cities down. It's not going to change a thing. They flip a switch and all their generators and all their stuff comes on and all their electricity's right back on. In fact, a lot of people who live in the country, they have windmills and stuff on their own property and stuff. And guys, the electric company pays them. They're putting electric on the grid. Don't even know how it is. So, you know, I had done a video called Endgame, and in it I said I read those white papers, and I did. And I'm telling you guys, these major cities are just, look, man, they're just going to cut the power off to them and let these people just mop each other. You know? Do you think that all the 100 million Americans who don't live in it, 150 million Americans who don't live in the major cities, do you really think they're going to care if those cities are burned to the ground and all the people, inhabitants in them are dead? No, they're not going to care. All right? So, unless Conspiracy Jack is right and, you know, it'll be a full military attack on the United States, you know, UN's sanctioned, whoever, Brotherhood shit. You know, that, I mean, that's worst case scenario. If it's just a civil war that they want, then I'm not, you know, I'm just not worried. I mean, I'm worried for all the horrible things that will happen to everyone. But they bought into this lie, and the cuckolds and the idiots bought into this lie. And a lot of people didn't, all right? So I want everybody to remember that. You know, you make a video on a kid named Cannon that gets shot, and they pull it down. And I may have been a little out of line there, but listen, that's reactionary, all right? I had some time to think about it, a day. You know, I see what I see. I hear what I hear, all right? So, you know, lesson learned. But we all knew what the lesson was anyway. But guys, you know, man, that's what I'm telling you. That's what it was the point of this video, is just to let everybody know. You make a black-pilled video like that one last night. I wanted to make you a kind of a semi-white one tonight. Pink pill, I guess, whatever, man. That's what they call us. You know, I was also thinking, a little off topic, but what really are topics to me? I was thinking, it's unbelievable. It really is, guys, that we all have to go through all this just for a certain tribe of people to have their slaves. You know, it's just so they can feel like that they really are God's chosen ones, you know. So they can feel like that they're on the, you know, king. If I was king of the forest, you know, if they were king of the world, you know. It's ridiculous, man. But you know what? I mean, Christianity says that, of course, the devil was cast down from heaven, and he is, you know, the prince of the earth. So he's going to make his version of heaven here on earth for him and his people. And that would mean that everybody else would be burnt and everybody else would be dead besides his minions, besides his guys. I can't think of a closer thing to truth, okay? And there's other religions. I've studied a lot of them. And I'm telling you right now, a lot of religions say the same thing, just in so many words. I don't want to get caught up. I'm just telling you guys, look, that's what it is. These people think that they are the owners of this place and that we are here just to service them and to do what they're bidding, because they cannot do anything for themselves. I remember that movie, Silence of the Lambs, came out in 1990. And these two Jewish characters, they owned a lockup, and they took Clarice Starling. They took her to the lockup, and the guy said, and they couldn't get it open. And the guy said, I would ask my driver to help you, but he detests manual labor. Okay, there you go. It won't even help a woman in the rain, an FBI agent. I mean, I know it's just a movie, but it's indicative of, look, they can sit around though and make jewelry and do gemstones and tedious shit. I mean, that's no shit, right? If it has something to do with gold and frankincense and myrrh and everything else that's worth anything, if it's worth anything, even humans, okay? There's a certain sect of people, and they have their minions, okay? And so whenever you hear certain black people getting mad that don't know exactly what's going down and they don't know what's up, and whites too, everybody, Mexicans, everybody who gets pissed, and they're like, these devils, you know, these white devils, because that's who they masquerade as, you know. It's funny, you'll hear there's rap video out with the kids like, I'm not white, I'm Jewish, you know, remember that? So when it suits them, you know, they're white. Whenever they need to be Jewish, they're Jewish. Infiltrators, guys. You know, you watch those old movies and TV shows from the early 90s, and it'll have on there, you know, like 90210 and Clueless and all those stupid ass movies from a different time era. But if you didn't know what a lot of the joke was back there in the early 90s and the late 80s was that you got a nose job. You got a nose job. All these people were getting nose jobs, right? Hollywood, nose jobs. I'm gonna mix in with a Goyim, you know. So they always change their names. They take the Steins off their names, and they take the Golds off their names. And you know what I mean? They get nose jobs, and okay. But then now in this day and age, those people's kids are rappers that get put on YouTube and everywhere else and get blown up artificially. And I'm not white, I'm Jewish. Okay, those are those people's kids. Anyway, guys, disjointed one. You know, I had some things on my mind. I like to just give you guys a free-for-all. Even though, guys, it's metered out because you can't say whatever you want. Anyway, that's what I had for you tonight, guys. So, a lot of stuff to think about, but let's not forget Lil Cannon. All right, that's why I made that video last night. It was for him, totally for him. Nothing about me, and I didn't want it to make it about me. I want those videos like that. I don't care who makes them to stay up, all right? But anyway, it is what it is, huh? Let's get together.